Some historical events create a lasting impression that is ingrained in the communal memory for all the time. The Navy Yard Massacre is one such sad incident that rocked the foundations of a nation and a community. We explore the horrific specifics, the fallout, and the long-lasting effects on a fateful day that altered lives irrevocably in this investigation. Our adventure begins on a typical morning in the Navy Yard, a location associated with work and industry. The workers and their families had no idea that the peace of their everyday lives would be violently and unexpectedly destroyed, creating scars that would last for generations. We explore the Navy Yard as a crucial community hub to set the scene before delving into the tragedy itself. The massacre has a tremendous effect because of its relevance in the lives of the workers, the solidarity among co-workers, and the shared feeling of purpose. In an environment where routine and orders were the norm, anarchy broke out as the day went on. We break down the series of events that culminated in the massacre, looking at the elements that led to the abrupt and violent turn of what ought to have been a typical weekday. The subject of our story now becomes a person who carried out the Navy Yard Massacre. We dissect the nuances of human nature under duress as we investigate the motivations, grievances, or psychological variables that may have inspired the offender to carry out such a horrific deed. There are victims in every disaster, and the Navy Yard Massacre is no exception. In this part, we highlight the community's great loss and humanize the occurrence by presenting the lives and histories of people who were victims of the senseless violence. Following the catastrophe, the Navy Yard neighborhood came together in sorrow and support. We look at how the close-knit group overcame shock, helped one another, and started a movement to remember the victims and demand accountability for the horrific atrocity that had befallen them. Following the arrival of law enforcement, the Navy Yard Massacre investigation got underway. We examined the court cases, the difficulties that detectives encountered, and the quest for justice in light of a crime that left the community severely damaged. The effects of the Navy Yard Massacre went well beyond what happened right after. We examined the trauma's long-lasting effects on the victims' families and how it rippled down through the generations, leaving a permanent scar on society. This section examines the ways in which the victims of the Navy Yard Massacre were remembered. In order to ensure that the lives would not be forgotten, memorials, tributes, and community projects were implemented with the intention of encouraging resilience and remembrance. The public's views and knowledge of the Navy Yard Massacre were significantly shaped by the media. We look at how the occurrence were portrayed and how it affected more general societal discussions as we study the media's impact on the story surrounding the disaster. The story of the Navy Yard Massacre were woven into the community's history over time. We examine the recollections of the incident and its significance in the Navy Yard community's collective memory, highlighting the long-lasting effects of tragedy on local identity. There may be mysterious surrounding some parts of the Navy Yard Massacre even after an investigation and judicial actions that have been taken. There are still unresolved issues which give the story more depth and spark continuing debates over the cause and circumstances of the catastrophe. As we come to the end of our investigation into the Navy Yard Massacre, we consider the community's resiliency in the face of unfathomable tragedy. It's a tale of loss, remembering, and the perseverance of a people who pulled together in the face of that terrible day.